Hello everyone, my name is Arushi Rawat. You're watching ET Auto and I'm reporting live from the 2025 Bharat Mobility, and behind me is the old and beautiful Tata Sierra. Now before I show you the new Sierra, I want to introduce you to the person in limelight here, and that is Mr. Martin Uhlarik, who is the global head of Tata Motors. Thank you so much
Hello.
for meeting with us,
Thanks for
sir,
coming.
and for designing this beautiful vehicle. My first question to you is, when you were given the ideation for the Sierra AB, what was the problem statement that was given to you, or what was the inspiration behind it? Because the Sierra holds a very near position in the lives of Indian people, and it has been quite a legacy product.
Yes, to be honest, this has been a long journey to get to this point. It started actually in my office in 2019,
Oh wow!
and it didn't come as a brief. It was basically an idea in the design department to create an iconic Tata product. Now, the original one, I've always felt that it somehow transcended any of the other products in the portfolio historically. I always said it was a living legend. That's the way
Yeah.
I termed it. And I kind of thought like the design is actually pretty iconic. You know, it's very simple. It has a very strong B pillar and this wraparound window.
True.
And to be honest, at the time, we were trying to design a mid-size SUV. So then there was the idea, let's make it into the Sierra.
Oh.
And that started with the 2020 Delhi Auto Show, Auto
Yes,
Expo,
yes.
where we showed the first concept.
The first concept.
And it was
yes,
the
I
reaction
remember.
when it was
Yes.
unveiled, which convinced the company to actually do it as a Sierra. Then we had the pandemic. And then, to be honest, originally it wasn't even envisioned as an EV,
Oh really?
because at the time EV was just starting, in 2019,
Absolutely, yes.
2020, it was still like, very basic level. And then by 2022, 2023, we realized that actually the product will have to be both an ICE and an EV. And we showed the concept 2 years ago, and this is now the production car. And to be honest, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the two cars if I parked the concept car and this one
And the
next to each
production?
other,
Yeah.
other than the fact that this one, we've shown it with the ICE front end. So it has the front grille, which will be on all the petrol products. And the EV will look exactly like the concept we showed
Oh,
2
that
years
is
ago.
pretty excellent. So you said that it started in 2016?
2019.
2019.
So it's been a long journey.
Yeah, it has been.
Yeah, but to be honest, I think the level of refinement in the design is reflected of how much time has been spent on it. Sometimes, fast is good, but also you cannot shortchange just refinement, quality, and all of the perseverance, all the sweat, blood, and tears that have gone into designing this and getting it to look exactly like what we intended to.
I totally resonate with that. So what was your favorite part about designing this entire masterpiece?
My favorite part was capturing the iconic feel of the original one there. This car, people should be able to see it as a Sierra without reading the Tata name, seeing the badge, or reading the lettering on the side. They should know immediately by seeing the
it's a
vehicle
Sierra,
without
yes.
seeing any of the badging what model this is, what product it is.
That design concept is very resonates a lot with all the new products that Tata has recently showcased. So you think that there is a when you sit with your blueprint, you think about making Tata Motor vehicles stand out from the rest of the crowd.
Yes. In many ways, each product tells the story of the brand. So whether they're telling the Sierra story, or they're telling a Nexon story, or a Punch story, or the Tata Motors story and what that represents, designers are storytellers.
Yep.
And they have to tell the story through technology and surfaces. Of course, when we launch the car, we'll also show you the interior. And the interior experience is also super important for a product like this. The amount of window space that this will have, the amount of daylight that it'll have. It shouldn't feel claustrophobic. It should feel liberating, just like the original Sierra. There's a sense of adventure here. And but at the same time, it's all wrapped in a very high tech, at the same time, extremely high quality product.
Which of the products that you've designed recently after getting with Tata Motors is your particularly favorite?
Oh, this one, without
The
a
Sierra?
doubt. It's just because, like I mentioned, this started out as a conversation in my office, and it didn't come as a brief. So in many ways, we fought for it, sort of with passion. And at one point, the design has been delivered. The production car has been delivered by the team in the Pune studio.
Oh,
And that's also very important because, to be honest, I'm a foreigner, And like you mentioned, people growing up with the original
Yeah,
Sierra, I can't
absolutely.
relate to it like other people can. And we have a studio in the UK and one in Italy. But the reality is the design team in Pune, they'll have the memories. They'll remember it as kids,
True,
or
yes.
my uncle had it, or I remember when I saw it on the street, and or I had the poster on my
Mm.
wall. So they will also fight to for the integrity of the design. And I think it was a real kind of work of pride and passion, to deliver this.
That's really nice because this is a very emotional product for
Yeah.
the Indian market, and seeing it in a new avatar
Mm.
per se, and
Yes.
even in an electric form is even better. So how would you say that it's different designing an electric vehicle versus an ICE vehicle?
No, I don't really see a difference. To be honest, I'm pretty much powertrain agnostic. I mean,
Really?
so we've got a portfolio of like,
Yeah, absolutely.
ICE cars, EV
Yep,
cars. We have
yep.
CNG cars.
Yes.
In the end, the product tells the story, and I see powertrain as no different from a color choice.
So you have vehicles that are built around that are like born electric
Yes, like
vehicles,
the
and how
Avinia concept,
exactly.
which is not going to have an ICE derivative. It'll be
Correct.
purely EV.
And then there is this, which is actually built around a battery or is taken derivation from the previous generation. How are they different?
It'll basically, obviously, the package and the platform have to accommodate both ICE
Yes.
and EV, and eventually maybe CNG. We'll see, but it shouldn't compromise the design at all.
All right, yeah, that's
So,
pretty
you
much.
know, nowadays, traditionally, design would get a package and would have to just, here are the hard points. That's what they would call them, and you just make the wrapping paper. And in many ways, the design department used to be called the styling department. But now, design is actually about proportion. It's about ingress, egress. It's about the stance of the vehicle. How does
True.
it communicate toughness, safety, functionality, and all of these things. So now, design works with the engineering team to actually develop the package.
Oh,
So before we cut this design, we cut a proportion model in full size, and then design says the wheel has to move outboard, or we have to shorten the overhang, or we have to raise this, or the
okay.
angle of this.
Okay.
And then we make an ergonomic model where we get in and out of it, and we experience the second row and the daylight and all this sort of. Once that's locked in, then that's the design part. Then we do the styling part, which is actually coming up with the nice surfaces and the
True.
theme and all that. And that's the wrapping paper. It's just as important. That's the fashion. That's just as
That's the
important
fashion.
as the design.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But that's the big difference, over the last couple of years.
So, in your experience or the time that you've spent with Tata Motors, have you noticed any inclination towards electric vehicles? Have you seen an increase
Oh, yes.
in the acceptance towards electric vehicles?
I think
and
that's obvious from our sales of EV adoption, and also how many products
Punch was the
Yeah.
highest selling, and it included both ICE and EV, CNGs, and everything.
That's
and I'm
right.
sure design plays a very important part
Absolutely.
in the sales of the vehicle as well. Thank you so much, sir, for talking
Oh, thank
to
you.
us.